live at Indie PopCon here with Travis from Action Phase Studios. So, can you tell us a little bit about your company and the games you guys design?
We are a new company. We have a game. Right now we just have a single game. It's called Heroes Wanted. We just had a Kickstarter successfully fund back in into March. Yeah, February to March. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's been...
it's fine.
I think I'm blocking it out.
Let me guess, a whole lot of stress. And it's just like, we're going to forget that phase ever happened. We're going to go with, you know what, it worked.
Well, it was awesome. We had a really big response. The game is, as I said, it's called Heroes Wanted, and what it's about essentially is you take on the role of a wannabe superhero hopeful. So every time you play the game, you're going to have like a top and a bottom card that make you look completely different, like as you can see here. This is my wife, actually. And so every time you play, you're going to be a different superhero. So there's tons of replay value in that, and a lot of games, are very serious. So this game tries to capture some elements of humor and silliness, and a little bit more hone in on the fun. It's got, as far as replay value, I think it's probably got the most replay value of any game you could possibly buy. There's like 10,000 combinations of heroes you could be.
Wow.
Hundreds of villains you can fight against, and the boards, you're doing things like stopping a villain from littering, loitering, and jaywalking, and making bootleg DVDs and silly stuff.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, things that normal superheroes probably wouldn't bother with. You're kind of trying to wet your beak and...
wet your beak. I love that term.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Heroes Wanted is your only game.
Right. I have another published game as well, but this is the only game that we Action Phase games has so far.
Okay, and what was your inspiration for this game right here?
Actually, my co-designer and I, we used to play this game when we were in our 20s, which was a long time ago for me. And it was, what we would do is you would write down words on sheets of paper, and scraps of paper, and you'd throw them in a hat, and we'd draw them out, and then you'd end up getting like ridiculous superhero names like Jungle Titan or Beef Cop or the 1,000-year-old skull. So it started actually from there, from this, we called it the name game. So it started from this sort of silly name game idea, and we sort of extrapolated that and turned it into an actual game that is like pretty, it's got something to it.
So it went from being something you guys did to goof off to something that you want other people to get to goof off with in a way.
Sure, yeah, but in a much further down the road. And like I said, this original concept was just words on paper. I mean, it was, and like, there was no rules.
Geek Trivia at 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Indie PopCon. I definitely wanted an announcement in the middle of an interview.
So it's really evolved and turned into something. The reaction was really awesome. We almost funded 500% over, I think. 500% over our goal. We wanted like 28,000, and we got like 130, almost 8,000.
You can probably build a pretty awesome game with that then, since you overfunded so well.
The game ended up being a lot cooler. This is just a very rough prototype. Yeah. The game is actually being made in China right now, and we're looking forward to it. So we'll be able to sell them in public to the public in Gen Con, and the backers will get theirs shortly before that.
Nice. So is this like a strategy game? Is it dice?
It's kind of a tactical game. So you basically, you'll get your superhero, and then there's 4 different types of heroes. There's tech, there's cosmic, there's vigilantes, and then there's mutants. And what you do from there is you play cards, and you move around a scenario, and you're trying to defeat a villain. And there's modular goals. So every time you play, the goals are going to be different. Every time you play, the villain's going to be different. Every time your hero's going to be different. Your opponent's heroes are going to be different. So, it's more of a tactical game. You play cards that allow you to do actions, and you move around the board, beating up minions and attacking the villain. In this particular board, you actually would go and throw away garbage. The villain's just throwing garbage all over the street, and you're picking it up kind of as you run along.
Well, it looks like a really interesting concept. It really does. Is there anything else you guys are thinking about releasing then? Because, like you said, this is your only game so far for Action Phase.
Yeah, Nick and I both each have a game.
Oh, don't mind those dorks. I've been hanging out with them most of the weekend. I think they're following me.
We right now we just have this. We're working on an expansion for this, and we have another game that's set in the same universe where it's kind of in reverse. You're a bad guy. You're a villain that's that's trying to take advantage of this sort of, because all this, the game takes place in this context of this media hype. This is a team.
They've got voice amplifiers. It's awesome.
The idea is you want to join this team, so there's only one space, so it's almost like American Idol meets the
It's
Adventures.
superheroes and stuff.
Yeah, so we have more. We'll have more games coming. And it takes a long time to design and
Of course
test
it
and
does.
get all the art and everything. Usually it takes about, I don't know, it could take as much as a year, no more, I suppose, in some instances.
Yeah.
So we should have something, a Kickstarter up in early 2015 for our expansion for this, a big expansion for this.
Nice. I would be very interested in keeping track of that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, besides designing games, what would you say are some of your hobbies?
I mean,
Gaming is obviously
that's pretty
one.
much like a really big part of
So just
everything.
definitely just 100% gamer.
Any baby yet? No, not yet. I have a kid. My kid was supposed to be born yesterday, and my first child, and it was not born. So is
Yeah,
that
I
a
know.
hobby? Is waiting on your kid to be born a hobby?
It's totally a hobby. Congratulations, by the
Yeah,
way.
thanks. So I don't know. I'm pretty much like a nerd through and through. I mean, this is mostly what I do. Is I play and work on games. I help run a game designer, aspiring game designer group here in Indianapolis that
Really?
meets up once a month for people who are trying to sort of learn how to make their own games or
And it's
bring
a way to
games.
give back to the community as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was what helped me to sort of start off on this. That's how I in my first game, I was able to get it done by virtue of the help of individuals within a similar group in the place where I lived before this.
Well, so you're not only designing games, you're giving back to the community that wants to learn how to make their own games, which is
Yeah.
a really nice thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of I'm whole hog on the game thing. I lay in the bath and read rule books. It's kind of pathetic. I mean,
Hey, I lay in the bath and read D&D books sometimes, so
There you go.
so we can both count as pathetic together. Well, do you have any advice for any of my listeners that are wanting to get into game design, game development, things like this?
Well, I would say look to see if there's a group in your city or town that does that, and if not, you should maybe think about trying to start a group. Go to your local store, and you'd be really surprised to see how many people have an idea and they want to share that idea with someone, and they just don't know how to do it, or there's not a forum for them to do it.
Yeah.
And I think those kinds of groups are really good. There's conventions. Take your idea to conventions. Take your idea, contact publishers if you want to submit your idea if it's far along enough in the process. It all just depends where you're at in terms of designing and developing a game. But it's possible. This is the biggest time for the hobby market, I think, historically ever. So
Well, gaming is actually becoming one of those really, really popular things. So
yeah, absolutely. So this is strike while the iron's hot, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to tell our listeners about your games, about your company, about anything?
Well, then you can check us out on Facebook, or check us out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, check us out on webcams. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Sororitycam.com.
Sorority can't. Oh wow,
no.
wow. We might have to scrub that one from the interview.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. No, that's it. Just thanks for taking the time to talk.
Not a problem. And I'll be talking with your other partner, I think, later today.
Yeah, Nick.
Nick. Yeah. So we'll hear more from him later.
All right. Yeah. Awesome.